Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Green Couch Exchange, where we empower people to practice financial excellence and stewardship. Today, I'm really excited about having our guest with us on this seventh episode. We are going to be discussing churches as crisis partners, disaster response, and recovery. And so today we have two special guests from Shelby County. I'm going to give them a chance to be able to introduce themselves. I don't know if you all want to do popcorn or point. But we'll have the furthest go first, and then we'll end with Mr. Staples.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Bryant Boone. I'm what you call a preparedness officer for the emergency management for Shelby County Homeland Security, and I've been working with them for just 6 months. My experience come as a retired Memphis firefighter, though. So I've been in this field for several years. I did 27 and a half years with Memphis Fire. Uh, 3 of those years was spent in their Office of Emergency Management, which is also an emergency management department too for the city. And so I've done this job for the city, and now I'm doing this job for the county.
Wonderful.
So I've retired from one spot, and some people call it double dipping or whatever, but it's just another job. I just happen to have the skills to get hired by another agency, so we're not gonna call it double dipping.
Absolutely. Understand. Yep.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Keith Staples. I currently serve as the Deputy Administrator for Shelby County Emergency Management and Homeland Security Agency. Our director is Director Brenda Jones, and our Deputy Director is Charles Newell. We are a small agency, but we're the largest emergency management agency in the state of Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
Tennessee has 95 counties, and Shelby County has the largest EMA footprint, especially with the 7 municipalities that are located here. Our agency is the county version of FEMA. Of course, FEMA is the federal agency. Many people are familiar with them. And then Tennessee has its state version, Tennessee Emergency Management Agency. And then each one of those 95 counties in Tennessee has their county version of emergency management. And that's what we are. And we serve the citizens here in Shelby County, all of the municipalities, not just Memphis, not just Germantown or Bartlett, but in every municipality and the unincorporated areas within Shelby County. We also partner with the other counties, Tipton, Lauderdale, Fayette, to make sure, because it's a Mid-South footprint. So what happens in Shelby County doesn't always affect only Shelby County. There is some responsibilities that we have with our neighboring counties as well. And so that's what we do. We provide emergency management services as far as disaster recovery, preparation and planning. We ensure that the outdoor warning sirens are working properly in the unincorporated areas. And then we are that public safety hub for the other municipalities and other public safety agencies within this Mid-South region.
That was thorough. Thank you for that, Mr. Staples. So I do want to, I know I told you all that I was going to ask an initial question, but I'm going to switch up a little bit because I do like what you said before we started when you said that the emergency department became more prominent after a national disaster occurred. So can you share that on the podcast?
So sure. Most departments, most cities and counties have had emergency management departments for years. But after 9/11, we became more prominent because that was a national disaster that made everybody kind of think, what do we do if this happens in our city? So everybody can kind of remember what they were doing. Like you said, I remember what I was doing when 9/11 hit. And if you ask most people that, maybe not little kids, but if you ask people what were they doing, they can tell you. And I'm going to tell you what it did for our agency. It made us say, okay, we got to make sure that we have a footprint for each city and each county. Like you said, we have an emergency management department in almost every county in the state. But what that disaster did when 9/11 hit, it made it more prominent that cities said, hey, we need to put some funding into our emergency management departments, and it made it more prominent. And we're a resource department. When disasters hit, we are what I call the glue that puts everything together, because we kind of, it's at the top of the incident command system. Not saying that we're in charge per se, but we are a resource agency. So we put all of what I call the alphabet boys. When you look at FBI, MPD, and all of these acronyms that this stand, MFD, Memphis Fire Department, we are a resource agency that can put all of them together in a unified command system that make us all communicate, and we come up with plans. We have pre-plans for certain things of, let's say if we had a train derailment, or if we had a tornado, we have pre-plans in place for all of these agencies to come together, and we're going to talk about how the church can be a part of that today.
Okay, wonderful.
And one of the ways, that's a great segue, one of the ways we do that at our campus at 1075 Mullen Station, which is in the eastern portion of the county, we have our Emergency Operations Center. And at that facility, in our Emergency Operations Center, when we activate it, all of the public safety agencies will come there, where we'll have decision makers there to be able to make those critical decisions for mitigation of whatever emergency or disaster it is, as well as the recovery process, and to be able to demobilize all of those resources that we brought together. It's also, we have relationship with nonprofits like the Red Cross, and they assist the Mid-South Hospital Coalition, and some of the local businesses here all come together in that Emergency Operations Center. So Shelby County is well taken care of.
Absolutely. I love the structure and the communication, the pre-plan. That sounds amazing. I would love for the churches to be a part of that. If they not, are churches currently a part of that process?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have faith-based partners is what we call them. And what happens is we have we have meetings beforehand, and we partnership with different churches, and we use them as a resource. So the relationship starts before the disaster. That's, if you want to know how a church can get involved, they make the relationship before disaster, because after the disaster, we're trying to put them in place. But before the disaster, we can have a pre-plan. So we got a motto: don't be scared, be prepared. So if you've already kind of went over this and practiced these plans with the key people in your church. So let me give you an example. Let's say we have a tornado and it takes out an area, and maybe the church is still standing, or the area is standing. You may not have communications, but people may know to come meet at the church. And we may say, at this church, we're going to have food set up. We may bring out food trucks or stuff like this, because we plan for it ahead of time, instead of on the back end saying, hey, I got a whole neighborhood over here around my church, or my church needs help. We've already talked about what we can do. It may be a water drop off spot if the water, we need water, or it could be a food center to feed food. If the church is still standing, can we use your church as a shelter? Have we talked about this ahead of time? Do you know how many people that we can put in here? Is your kitchen operable? How many people can we feed out of here? So you got to think about the area that we're in. We're known to have tornadoes at times. That's a possible disaster. They keep talking about the pneumatic fault that we sit on, that we may have earthquake in this area. There's stuff that you can pre-plan for, that we can talk about and put key leadership in place. And you also look within your church and see, hey, do I have police officers that go to this church? Or do I have firefighters that go to this church? Or do I have nurses at this church? And sometimes you can put those people in play. You may have nurses that retired from work where they don't have to report, because those are essential employees. But let's say you had a retired police chief, or police major, or somebody, or maybe a retired battalion chief that attends your church. That's a key player that can say, hey man, we can form a plan to put us in play, and we can come out and talk to you all about that plan and see if we can use that campus as a possible partner with emergency management. And that's how that would work.
How does the church initiate that partnership?
Go ahead.
So our churches here, specifically in Memphis in the Mid-South area, they've become more than just houses of worship. In the community are used to going there. That's many churches, they offer voting, early voting, they're voting precincts. Many churches, they have schools. So the general community at large used to going there. So during a disaster, those faith-based communities play a crucial part in helping the recovery process. And one of the ways that that church or house of worship can partner is coming to our meetings. We have monthly meetings, our urban area security safety initiative meetings. And then also we have our faith-based arm. We meet regularly with most of the churches and houses of worship here in the Mid-South area. And we keep those contacts. And then also we have what we call the CERT program, community.
CERT?
Yes, community emergency response teams. And we go out and we do training, not only with churches, with businesses and other nonprofits. Because if there's an emergency, we sit on the New Madrid Fault and the earthquakes happen, it may be 3 or 4 days before a first responder can get to you. So we have to establish community-based. You may be the only person on your block, on your street, or in your cove or in your neighborhood that has this training. And the more people that you get at your church or whatever house of worship you're at, certified as a community emergency response member, they can help during those crises. And that is how we increase the population of people being able to assist during emergency, because it takes everybody.
Yeah,
it does. Not just the first responders. They're inundated with the immediate life safety initiatives, but other people, they may just need water, their power is out, and they're on oxygen, and they need someone to look after them. And we have to build that capacity in our community.
When are you say your meetings? You all have monthly meetings?
Yes, we do, but we offer the CERT training quarterly. It's free. It's open to the public. We have them sometimes at our location, at the Mullen Station location, and also we partner with the city of Memphis, their Office of Emergency Management, off of Avery and Flicker over by the Board of Education. And citizens can sign up. They just go to our website at staysafeshelby.gov, and they can go there and register. And once we get a pool of candidates, we'll put the dates out so that they can attend the classes. So we encourage all of the churches and houses of worship to take advantage of that free training, because undoubtedly it could be the catalyst that saves your life or a church member's life or even a neighbor.
Thank you for that. You put up your Baptist hand.
So a segue into CERT. I've taught CERT for several years with the city along with the county, and we actually used a partnership, and we're back in partnership teaching those classes together. But also, if you reach out to us, and if you have a big enough group, if you reach out to us ahead of time, we also can bring the classes to you if we have a certain number of participants. So let's say if you got like 2 or 3 people that want CERT, we would advise you to come to our classes that we have preset. But if you have a big enough group, let's say 15, 20 or more, we could actually, if you call our planning officer, she can offer us to come out to your group and teach it. So CERT is a very good tool that we use with churches. And that segues into so many things, because like he said, there's a possibility that the event won't allow fire or police to come to you. And so then what do? You've been calling 911, or 911 is down and nobody really knows what's going on. That CERT training can teach you as a group how to form a group and get your volunteers to help navigate that disaster.
Yeah, like the ice storm of Armageddon that happened earlier this year that had us locked down, slipping and sliding in the middle of the road,
Right.
trying to figure out what we're going to eat and
Right.
things like that. That's amazing. I had no idea that this was available and that we were able to be a part. So I'm grateful for churches that are already involved. And I think that we'll definitely push the information out and
Right.
encourage other churches and even individuals to be a part, because it's just good to be a friendly neighbor just in case something happens, to be able to check in on people. I know one of the pushes that I have is whenever, like when we were locked in for those 3 years with the Armageddon that happened earlier this year, I was texting senior folks and saying, hey, how's everything going? Hope everything's well, because my concern is, what they may be experiencing, lights may be out, or how to be able to get to them, what's going on with them as well.
And that's another thing with the churches, you're vulnerable community within your church. So you know more about the vulnerable community in your neighborhood than we do. We get a list from like MLG&W who's like on life support and stuff like that. And we actually can take out generators to those people to like keep their oxygen going and stuff like that, and turn their lights and stuff back, not their whole house, but their necessities. And so we have a program that does that, but it may be somebody in your church that just fit the category that has not filled out the information that we know. So if you've got a partnership with us, you may bring it to our attention that, hey, I got a member that really needs a generator, and we can go through the proper channels and help that person. Where that's where the church comes in. We may have a pre-list, but you may know of 2 more people that's needed, and that's where that relationship, you make the relationship before the disaster instead of afterwards.
What was the phrase you used before? It was prepare before.
Don't be scared, be prepared.
Don't be scared, be prepared.
Or
so I know.
Or if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
Okay. So if don't be scared.
Don't be scared.
Don't
be prepared.
Be prepared. So I know that there will be faith leaders on here that is going to try to use that during the altar call. Don't be scared. Be prepared.
Fine. That's fine. That is fine.
Don't
it's not patented.
What you say? Don't get ready. Stay ready.
If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
You don't have to get ready. I'm gonna learn those terms. So I like that phrase.
If I can, back into, you mentioned the storm we experienced. Here, it was Winter Storm Fern is the official
name of it. Okay.
And because of that storm, for the first time in maybe the last 6 or 7 years, we've actually got approval from the federal government for individual assistance. And so far, the federal government is on site at our facility, 1075 Mullen Station. The U.S. Small Business Administration is there, and they're taking applications for those business owners that suffered some damage from the storm Fern. And also FEMA Disaster Recovery's mobile site is at 1075 Mullen Station as well, for those homeowners or individuals that may have suffered some damage from the storm. And we have unprecedented numbers in response.
Oh, wow.
Over 30,000 residents have already registered. The federal government has allocated over $35 million for residents in Shelby County. And nearly $8 million has already been dispersed to residents that were already filed. So they're going to be on site through June 6th. So we encourage residents or family, friends, your church groups, if you've had damage to your property, whether it be a business or your personal residence, you can come out to 1075 Mullen Station Road. It's on the eastern portion of our campus. And also you can go to disasterassistance.gov and register. So that's an awesome benefit for the citizens of Memphis to continue
helping the recovery efforts, right?
And that's great information to know. And I think sometimes when disasters happen, we may not know the full list of benefits that we may be able to receive to help with the recovery process.
That's right.
And so I love the Shelby County Safe.
Stay safe.
I'm
Shelby.
getting all. Y'all, we're going to send out a list because I will butcher the web pages and the phrases. But
thank God for Google.
Amen. Right. That too. But I think that that's so important, especially for churches. I'm a part of the AME denomination, and we're kind of like in clusters in different areas.
Right.
And so Memphis, we have about 3 clusters, which would be considered North Memphis, South Memphis, and then Millington District, which includes Shelby County and some parts of Tipton County.
Right.
And so I know that when information was sent out, we didn't get the list that you all just shared. We did get the disaster to register for disaster recovery, because one of our churches, the wall fell in with all the ice. And so they were asking about churches, members, things like that. But having an extensive list of what all we could seek out help for would be helpful. Is that something that you all offer, like a list?
Yes. So we did several media releases with sort of a fact sheet of all of the things you're eligible for, whether you're a small business or a individual homeowner. But what we can do is make sure that you get all of that information so you can pass it on. So at the conclusion of our podcast today, we'll make sure that you get all of the information, what the citizens are eligible for, and what their process is for next steps if they want to apply. Because it's not too late.
That's awesome.
FEMA's still on the ground. The U.S. Small Business Administration is still here on site. They've extended their time through June 5th, if I'm not mistaken. And so we'll make sure that you get that for all of your viewers and your members at your church.
That'll be great, because I think in the area we have about 45 AME churches. And I always shout out my assistant, who does not want to be on camera, but he is a Progressive Baptist, and it's a good number of churches. So I'm sure that he'll be able to disperse that, and then we'll send it out to the list of clergy persons as well. And also share with people to put this on their websites so that they'll be able to, if there's a need, that they'll be able to have that information available.
We do have another opportunity for, go ahead.
Well, what I was about to say was, the Baptist finger. So right now, the website to get the information is disasterassistance.gov. And then that number is 1-800-621-3362.
So one more time.
That's disasterassistance.gov, or you can call 1-800-621-3362. And those are 2 avenues where that information that you just discussed will be ready, available for them to navigate the process. And that 1-800 number will put you in touch with somebody that can also help them navigate the whole process.
That's awesome.
And I will give you this too if you want to pass it out in other spots.
I'll be passing it out. Absolutely. Okay. This is great. I'm excited. This is amazing. You all have definitely given me a lot of information already. So I will ask this question. During a disaster, when a disaster hits a community, what is the first things that churches should understand?
Well, they really need to get accurate information. With social media and all of the different things, sometimes during a disaster, there's not the right information out there. So one of the things that we encourage churches to do is make sure that they have a relationship like with our agency, so that they can get accurate information on the extent of the damages and pay attention to the ways that information is distributed, like the outdoor warning sirens, being able to recognize that, having weather radios are great, having access to
weather radios.
Yes, weather radios are awesome too for early notification. And then also having those alerts enabled on your mobile device. I know many times we You get inundated with Amber Alerts at 2
Yeah.
o'clock in the morning. But one of the ways we distribute information is through those notifications. You don't need to come in this area. Stay away from this area. Avoid this area. So we encourage citizens, and you can encourage your members to make sure you enable those notifications on your phone so that you can receive them and pass it on. Those are early warning notifications that churches can do and re-emphasize to their members to stay alert.
That's really good information. I think that um, uh, I think there was an alert that went out with the tornado out in Millington, because that's where my church is located. And it was extremely helpful to get that. And because people knew I was in the area and they got that alert, they called and they were like, "Where are you?" And so I really appreciated the text message notification, because I don't remember getting anything like that before. And so I know that that was really helpful. And even for season members, they also got the same alert. And so they were able to one of them winded up turning around and going back home from where we were going. But that I kudos to you all for that system, because that system is extremely helpful and timely. It looked like you wanted to add something.
Well, when adding something, the question is basically what the church can do before the crisis happens. And like he said, making sure you know who your emergency management department is. You also may want to make sure that the leadership of your church have a relationship with emergency management, so we know who we're calling from, who we're dealing with at the church, who can make decisions that we can maybe use the church as a shelter or a warming center. Do you have those relationships established on the front end? So we can just say, Mount Piston as an example, that here we've got a relationship with Reverend so and so or Deacon so and so or Sister so and they can make a decision on whether we can open this church or gym up for a warming center. We know that on the front end. That way we're not talking about it. So now we got a list of places that we can use for food drop-offs or donations, who controls funding at this church, that if we needed to give people cash in hand to, we may give families $100 a piece because the church has funding for this. So those type of pre-plan is what make crisis, when people see the worst, sometimes a church can make things better just from a pre-plan. And so that's the type of relationships and the conversations that you want to have with the leaderships of the church. What can we actually do? What are we willing to do? And who are the stakeholders who makes these decisions? And
during a disaster, people are looking for a trusted voice.
Right.
And your pastor,
right, the community already,
Reverend, they already are trusted
right.
voice.
The community trusts the church.
Yeah.
So they've already got that factor, and they have the relationships with that community. So that's going to be a place. And you got to think about what communications are up. Do your text messages work? Do your phone work? Does the internet just work? And like right now, we're doing a podcast, and they say, hey, if this doesn't work, if that doesn't work, get on the internet. If you may have internet connection, like just take an example for your phone. Sometimes your internet or Wi-Fi can work with your phone, where your phone and everything isn't working. Just like when you put it in airplane mode, the Wi-Fi may still work. So you may find some hot spots or spots that your internet works. How are we communicating? You got to say, okay, phone is out, internet's up, text messaging is out. So how do we talk?
Yeah.
Do we get on those radios that he talked about and just listen to the broadcast? And they're saying a broadcast on your weather radio, they're saying, hey, go to Mount Piston Baptist Church or Second Baptist Church, and everybody go there. So have you talked about that with the congregation ahead of time? So those are the things that, like when you have CERT training, we kind of go over with you all on how to, when plan A, B, C don't work, guess what? We're all the way to plan D.
That's an excellent question. Those are excellent questions. And the reason why I say that is because I'm in the demographic of Gen X and millennial.
Right.
So I'm a Zennial. And
Never
for
heard that
some
term
reason,
before.
we're a small
Zennial.
group.
It's
Yeah,
small group.
we're a small group,
Okay.
a small generation in between those two generations where we grew up with having to come in by the time that the street light came on, but we also had computers.
Right.
So we were like the crossover. But in my mind, I'm thinking, internet may go out, but satellite is still available.
Right.
My grandparents used to have the weather and the police radio stuff,
right.
but I do not.
Okay.
And talking to you all, I'm like, I need to get that just in case everything goes out, and I need to be informed. I'm out of the loop if I can't get connected to the internet, and now I have to rely on the radio. So I think that's important to share. Well, one of the things that you said prompted me to think about this question: how can a church assess its own capacity before offering help?
Well, one of the ways you do that is the leaders of their church have to come together and establish an emergency operations plan for that particular facility. And in that plan, it should have who's in charge. What if that person is not there? Who would be the second? Who would be the succession? To be able to make those timely decisions, because the pastor or the bishop may be out of town on vacation or at a conference. They go to a lot of conferences, and
this is true.
And so somebody's got to be there to make that decision.
Yeah.
So you want to have a written plan, making sure that everyone knows exactly where to meet at, to exit, to be able to get out of the facility or to stay sheltered in place. All of those decisions, and you can't, you don't want to suffer from a failure of imagination. And I bring that up. Director Patrick Sheehan is the director of Tennessee Emergency Management Agency, and he talked about prior to the wildfires in Gatlinburg, Sevierville
I remember
area,
that.
They were doing some training, some tabletop exercises, and trying to come up with different scenarios. And somebody mentioned a wildfire. Well, we don't have wildfires in Tennessee at that time. That's only mostly out west. And what happened? Shortly after that, they had a wildfire in Gatlinburg. So he brought up having a failure of imagination. So you don't want to have that. You want to think about, okay, this may happen. This could happen to my church. And we're going to talk about this subject, but I'll bring it up. We'll go a little bit more detail with active shooters. Because many houses of worship are experiencing that throughout the country. With active shooter, we do offer active shooter training to faith-based communities, as well as businesses and nonprofits
and schools,
and even in schools. So you have those are part of the plans that should help a church be prepared beforehand, because it's not a matter of if, it's
when. Oh wow!
My hand going up again. So I know, and so listen. We were fortunate enough that you sent some of the questions over to us, so we did pre-answer some of the questions. And the question was, how does the church does an assessment of their facility? So the size of your facility, what are your leadership willing to use it for? Are you willing to let the vulnerable community come in there, sleep? Can we use it as a shelter? Do you have showers? Do you have backup generators? So you got to think about this. Everybody's power's out, but the church bought backup generators to keep the power going. That's a great assessment. So you're writing all this stuff down that my church can do. You also can say who is willing to volunteer. You may have a volunteer list, and you need a volunteer leader to give them instructions. So they just won't be coming up, because you don't want to repeat doing the same stuff. Like somebody's, I'm doing this, and you got 2 or 3 people doing the same thing, where you could have one person doing this and another person doing this. So that's why you pre-plan. And transportation, what type of transportation? Do we have a church bus? Are we trying to move a elderly home that's no power, or a tornado or a tree fell on this elderly
also
home?
like our buses.
Yeah, so we may need your buses to move people. So it can be so much. Like he said, they had a failure of imagination. But when you kind of write down your resources, because what we're asking you to do as a church, to do what we do as an agency, to be a resource agency for this event or for your community, or so what are you willing to do? What type of insurance do you have on your church?
Oh, wait a minute. What do you mean?
Insurance. I mean, seriously, you got to think about if you bring people in to your church, do you have security to secure them while they're there? And you got to think about it. You got to think outside of the box. Let's say we had a tornado, and the church is the only thing that's got a backup in this neighborhood. Then it's an older neighborhood. Most people didn't go buy Generacs or put generators on their property. So now you got this church up and going, and this church has got food over here and water. Is some of the neighbors going to come over here and just rob and take it? Do I have a plan that way, hey, we got police over here set up because they know that this is a big one, and you can see things turn different. You know what I'm saying? People don't realize kind of the stuff that was going on in New Orleans with Katrina. You saw
the
where
liability piece is huge. You have to consider the liability piece.
Right.
Do we ask those questions on insurance? I'm looking off screen to my assistant because he's a pastor. He's been pastor longer than me. And I'm thinking about our insurance and whether or not liability is on there. I'd have to ask the trustees, but that's an excellent question to ask.
One of the benefits of having partnership with our agency is we also have partnership with other nonprofit groups that assist with that. For example, the Red Cross. If you are determined to be an official shelter or a place where people can come and citizens can get help, and you agree to that, there is some opportunities with the Red Cross to sort of provide some liability just in case people damage your property.
Right.
Everybody, it could be an accident happen, and so the Red Cross can be have some capacity to be able to provide some of that service in terms of making sure that when this situation is over, that your facility is still like it was before.
Right.
We opened it up as a shelter or a warming place or keeping citizens. And it's so important to have that relationship with the Red Cross and some of those other agencies that can assist.
Yeah, that's major collaboration.
And the key thing is to know what you can do and what you cannot do.
That's right.
Ooh. Pull your mic up. Your mouth. Make sure that it's
right. So
close.
That's what you really want to know, what your church can do and what it cannot do. Because like some things they'll ask, and you'll try to have this leadership to try to, and you've looked at this and we just cannot do that. But this is what we can do. If you have defined what you can do, and this is what we can do, that list may be 5 things or maybe 3 things. This is what we could do. We could distribute water. We could distribute food. Y'all can't come up in here. That's divine leadership of that church said, hey, no. And then you may have a leader say, hey, you can use this. We don't care. We'll fix it later. And that's maybe some of your bigger churches that's established and there's some churches with a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
And they can say, hey, we can afford to, if this place gets messed up, we can fix it. And then you may have a smaller church that's kind of living on the membership that it has, that just cannot afford to do that.
They can provide
volunteers. They
to
can,
assist.
right.
So we have Shelby County VOAD. VOAD is volunteer organizations active in disaster. And we have a local chapter. It's a state organization, a national organization. It's regional chapters as well. And so although your church may not, as Boone said, might not be able to provide shelter, but you can provide volunteers to assist
Right.
with passing out water, with passing out
Right.
blankets. You may have a team that they're tree cutters by trade,
Right.
and they can assist
With debris
with
removal.
debris removal and all of those
Right.
things. And so I just encourage any of the viewers to partner
Right.
with our organization, Shelby County VOED, and they can partner and provide that assistance.
I got
Because
that.
anytime you have a disaster, or whether it's man-made or natural,
Mhm.
what caused it's going to take the whole community to keep that recovery process, and that's how you build resiliency through that proper planning in the beginning.
And so the church may be here to fill in the gaps. And I'm gonna tell you one of the gaps that we needed filling during the snowstorm back here in February was MIFA needed help delivering Meals on Wheels to their vulnerable community. And so a lot of people that volunteer to do the Meals on Wheels didn't have 4x4 vehicles.
So
they couldn't get out of their neighborhoods because the streets were too bad. The main thoroughways were good, but they didn't have 4x4 vehicles. So they actually reached out to Memphis Fire, and Memphis Fire reached out to our agency, and we took a fleet of 4x4 cars over there, and we filled the gaps of delivering food for that day, or for a few days, basically during those storms. But like when we say fill in the gap, the church may have 5 members or 10 members with 4x4 trucks where they could have filled that gap if it was pre-planned. And we can say, hey, this church says they got 10 guys that's willing to help with 4x4 vehicles or all-wheel drive vehicles that could got through that. And we could have said, hey, we're calling Middle Baptist Church, and I'm just naming all these churches. Naming all these churches, and they said they would do that for us, and that could have kept us on task to what we had going, where we didn't have to break away from what we were all our responsibilities already were. That we had a faith-based community that filled in the gap. So sometimes the church can just be there to fill in the gaps, and that's what your leadership and that's what CERT training and stuff can teach you how to do.
And that model is being displayed quite often, like with the Cajun Navy, and down the Cajun Navy, with the floods that they've had, Texas, and southern parts of the city. I mean, southern parts of the country. They come in and try to help assist, rescue those people that are experiencing from excessive water, whether it be flash flooding or the storms come through. So those are examples that when we have the whole community come together, it'll fill those gaps. Because ultimately, we want to keep the citizens safe and speed up their recovery process and build some capacity and resiliency for the next event.
That's awesome. Here's a question. What mistakes do churches make when they wait until the emergency has already happened?
Back to that, what you can do versus what you cannot do. And some of the churches, the mistake that they make is not pre-planning. So like if you pre-plan so you would know what to do. And some of the mistakes is reaching out to us when we're in the middle of what we call an activation. Our office is activated when the disasters hit. So now you got people calling in on the back end saying, hey, we may have some people that can help you. And we take that information and we see, can we plug it? But it's good to know on the front end. So one of the mistakes is kind of getting to know us in the actual event versus before the event. You got something to add to that, Chief?
And knowing who to call.
Right.
Many times people don't know who to call. Who do I call for that? And having a thorough working knowledge of all the resources that's available to them as a church community and as a resident of Shelby County. And that's what we're here for. And it's incumbent upon the leaders to push that out, like what you're doing today with this podcast is great. And maybe we can continue to build on that.
We will.
So that there'll be some.
We will. Absolutely. Because I am shocked that that this is offered, and all the meetings that I've gone to within church meetings, faith communities, I have not heard this, especially when we're talking about disasters. I think we kind of try to pull it together ourselves when there's already a system in place. And so I'm sad that we didn't have working knowledge, or at least the spaces that I was in, or that I'm in, that we haven't utilized you all, but we will. I promise you we will. Here's a question: what kinds of care do people need after the immediate crisis passes?
Well, that expands just the human needs as well.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes people need emotional support. They've lost loved ones from that disaster.
Prayer.
Prayer.
Now, do you all set up any spaces or stations where the human side could be cared for, like the prayer or counseling after crisis happens?
So we don't specifically with our
Mm-hmm.
agency. We don't have a chaplain, but we do partner
Mm-hmm.
with other agencies that can provide that emotional, spiritual
Mm-hmm.
support for citizens that may be seeking that.
Mm-hmm.
We have pretty extensive contact of the churches that are part of our faith-based initiative, and it doesn't matter what the persuasion is.
Mm-hmm.
We can get you to the right resource, especially during a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
And you have those vulnerable populations; they need immediate care. Those that are on life support, they may have some physical challenges where they can't get out of their home, or they don't have the means to be able to restore
Mm-hmm.
things themselves. And then
Right.
the financial support,
Right.
that's always huge. And then, of course, the public safety agencies in Memphis and Shelby County, we're blessed. We got pretty good, responsive, very effective public safety agencies to provide that immediate need for life safety
Mm-hmm.
and to get people out of harm's way, whether it be structural collapse, whether it be swift water rescue, in cases of floods or flash flooding.
Mm-hmm.
We also have high angle rescue teams here um, to be able to get people out, away. One of the services we provide, we have drones and boats with sonars where we go out and try to assist with rescuing people that may have been on the water. We do a lot of recovery from those that did make it,
Oh,
um,
wow.
got overcome by the water
Mm-hmm.
in the Mississippi River and so on. So the agencies here, public safety agencies here, provide an excellent service to the community for that immediate life threats.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's amazing. I saw a half of the Baptist Vineyard building.
Well, he kind of hit it like right now. Financial recovery is
Mm-hmm.
what's going on now.
Yeah.
Those are one of the big things that you say. You know, what can the church do to help with recovery, or what are some of the recovery efforts? So,
Mm-hmm.
like this storm got uh, federal assist, right? So it had assistance, but we've actually seen storms that we thought were bigger than this storm that we didn't get those. So you know we're kind of blessed now that this storm actually qualified for individual assistance, where we've seen storms in the past that we just knew this storm qualified, right, but it did beat the threshold for us to get it. And we were like, man, in our minds, because we see these disasters and we've worked them, we were like, wow, that storm seemed much worse, but this one got the thumbs up to get assistance and that one didn't. So when we do get the assistance, of course we're trying to point everybody in the right direction, and that's just it. The financial assistance is one. The church can do counseling. People want to come to their pastor for and people just need help after this to recover. Some people's job doesn't come right back. Some people are out of work. You got to think about some storms like a tornado, or your favorite restaurant may have burned down and that whole place is out of jobs now, and you got people that's looking for job assistance and stuff like that. And that's kind of where the church can kind of kick in and say, hey, well, we know so and so may need help at this spot. That's what that's kind of the things you have to look at when helping a church group recover from a disaster.
And one example of that is the tornado 2008 that hit the Hickory Hill community. We lost 3 people that died from that tornado. Many of those small businesses never returned.
Right.
It impacted the Hickory Ridge Mall.
Yeah.
They had severe damage to that facility.
Yeah, it was a Rafferty's over there. I used to go to
many businesses along Winchester and
they didn't open back up.
Hickory Hill, they never recovered.
They never opened back up.
And that impact will be sometimes far greater than just the immediate thing that happens to the community.
Gosh, how many years ago was that?
2008. 2008, 18 years?
18 years? You're quick with math. Yeah. I was.
Right.
Wow. So the recovery can last decades.
Right.
Wow.
It could.
Yeah.
Some communities are still trying to recover from disasters.
This is a question. What should church leaders or how can pastors guide people without creating panic during disasters?
Well, having a plan, one,
right?
Yeah,
allows you to stay calm.
Yeah,
and the pastor remaining calm, that church leader being able to give accurate information. Because sometimes as human beings, when we're left to our imagination, we can come up with a lot of things.
Right.
Yeah.
And that trusted voice will reduce that anxiety. They're able to provide accurate information, real-time information that will provide the answers to those critical questions that the members will need. And they look to that leader for spiritual guidance already.
Absolutely.
So now being able to shepherd them with where they need to go. If you live in this area, you want to avoid that particular part of the county or community, and that helps a lot.
Yeah.
Right. And then, like you said, like not so much emotional decision making. Sometimes your emotions could get the best of you in a crisis, and when you lead with a plan and you're trying to do the most for for the greater good of your congregation or your community, sometimes you can't just say, sometimes people can get emotional and give like 1 or 2 members almost most of the finance stuff that if you could have spreaded it out, that you could do the most for the, for the whole congregation. So you gotta be calm, you gotta think things out. And like you said, you gotta have a plan of what we can do and what we can't do. So one person.
Something else I'd like to add. It's important for the pastor or the leader to have a positive view of public safety, because some people are scared. Yeah. They think that public safety individuals, whether it be law enforcement, fire, or EMS, are against them. But we're here to help. So if that church leader speaks positive, then it creates a positive view amongst the members, because in a crisis, undoubtedly, those members in law enforcement community, the fire, EMS, hazard material, they're there to help. But if you already have a predisposition to be scared of them, to push away from them, then that could impact your ability to be able to recover from the incident. So I just wanted to interject.
That was great, though. That was really great. Thank you for that. So we're at the end of our time, and I want to thank both of you all. And I see that you have Charles Newell. You said that he is the Deputy Director. Hi, Deputy Director. Thank you for joining us. And I also see Rod Robinson on here.
Yes, those are all team members. They're just providing some support.
So we want to shout you out for being on the Zoom, which will release the recording on YouTube, and we'll be able to send you all the links so that you can share, because we will also be sharing with the community, because this is some wonderful information. And so just thank you all for coming out and for your immediate response. That was really what I think caught our attention, is how responsive. Now I'm giving them kudos in front of the Deputy Director. They were excellent in responsiveness in the emails. The professionalism was stellar. And so that encouraged me to know that when I send this information out, and when churches or leaders want to contact you, that they'll get a response back. And so that's really important for me as well when we disseminate information. And so I want to thank you both for coming out and sharing such great information. And I know that we'll be working together, because I know that my assistant is going to be in touch with you. And I will also be in touch with you with other churches in the area, because we need to get connected, and it's not optional. And so I want to get the phrase right. I know I'm going to mess it up. I want to stay ready so I don't have to get ready.
If you stay ready, you don't have to.
I don't have to get ready. And so that's what I want to do.
Don't be scared. Be prepared.
Don't be scared. Be prepared. And that's what we're going to do. But do you all have any final thoughts that you would like to share before we?
So we just want to thank you and for having the foresight, for inviting us, and hopefully we've said something to the listeners, the viewers, that will spark your interest in making sure that you have all of the necessary tools in place to be prepared when a disaster happens. And the website for those needing assistance, disasterassistance.gov or .org, is it?
Hold on, let's get it correct.
I think it's disasterassistance.gov for those that suffered any damage from the winter storm Fern. And you also can visit our website at staysafeshelby.org.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's disasterassistance.gov. And that phone number is 1-800-621-3362.
All right.
And I appreciate you for having me also.
Thank you.
Don't be scared.
Wonderful.
Be prepared.
Don't be scared. Be prepared.
So I did take it that those pre-questions that you sent over, I answered every one of them. So you can have this as a playbook, and I actually put you a active shooter response for a mid-sized church in here, and you can use this as a guide to how to set that up.
That would be great. Thank you so
and
much.
You can have that. And my phone number is in there if you want to talk about it.
Thank you so much. I'm definitely going to utilize this information. And thank you all for joining us today with Green Couch Exchange. And we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Goodbye.